My name is Evelyn, and I spend 2 hours and 43 minutes on my phone every day.
I guess that's not even that bad as far as screen time goes.
But I reach for my phone first thing in the morning, last thing before going to bed, and lately I've been hearing imaginary buzzes.
So this week, I want to ditch my phone and use my screen time to read books instead. The rules are very simple. I'm not gonna lock my phone away, but every time I want to take out my phone for no specific reason, I'll pick up a book instead. I'm very curious how much of my 2 hours and 43 minutes of screen time is strictly necessary, and how much I can read just by cutting screen time. If you've been wanting to read more books and don't have the time, this is your sign to try it with me. Oh, before we get started, you guys know I've been wanting to try this watercolor kit for a really long time, and I've just done my very first watercolor. Thanks to today's sponsor, Skillshare. Let's be honest, I'm sure you've heard of Skillshare by now. It's an online learning community for creatives, the place to go if you want to learn how to watercolor or how to illustrate on Procreate. That's where I make all my thumbnails. But did you know that on Skillshare you can also learn how to film and edit a video, how to start a YouTube channel, and even take career-focused classes on how to start your own creative business or side hustle. I actually learned how to edit on Skillshare with Ali Abdel's 3-hour editing with Final Cut Pro class. I've recommended it countless times to anyone who's asked me how I edit. Now you can take it completely for free if you're one of the first 500 people using the link in my descriptions to get 1 month of Skillshare for free. During that month, you can also take a class on how to start and grow your YouTube channel and learn how to make lifestyle vlogs like mine from one of my favorite YouTubers, Carrie Cakes. I'm so excited to keep learning how to watercolor, learn how to use Notion, and take classes on how to make a living off of a creative business, because you guys know I'm pretty new to doing YouTube full-time and I'm feeling a little lost right now. Thank you so much to Skillshare for giving us all of these creative resources. The first 500 people to use my link will get a 1 month free trial of Skillshare. I'm so excited for you. Good morning. I just rolled out of bed. I haven't gotten ready yet. This is barley tea. I've gotten the habit of brewing barley tea in a big mason jar before going to sleep. So the first thing I do in the morning is like drink a liter of water. So it's about 10:30. I haven't looked at my phone yet. Today I am meeting a friend who came from Seattle. I'm gonna have to use my phone to make plans with her, but I just want to go on camera before I do that. Usually the first thing I do in the morning is take out my phone and check notifications. There's like nothing important. So when I didn't do that this morning, I actually felt really nice. I had some clear headspace to think about this video. Anyways, let's go make some coffee. My plan today is to only use my phone for essential activities, and at the end of the day I want to see how much time I end up spending on it, doing only things I have to do without any sort of restrictions, because we can't put our phone in a box every day. I forgot to weigh the coffee. Oh well. Ironically, I'm reading before the coffee gets cold, drinking cold coffee. I'm currently on page 17. It's about a cafe in Tokyo that allows people to travel back in time under certain conditions. They have to get back to the present time before the coffee gets cold. This is a compilation of stories happened with different people who visited the cafe. I'm getting the Midnight Library vibes from this book, and I did not particularly like the Midnight Library, but I'm trying to go into this with an open mind. Gotta start the reading timer. Like 3 p.m. I am taking the subway over to see my friend. I'll be honest, I'm having a bit of a moody day today, so did not get much done, and I've only been able to get in 15 minutes of reading when I was having my coffee. But today, when I didn't have anything to do at hand, I didn't habitually take out my phone. That's a really good feeling already, even though I didn't reinvest that time into reading. A lot of times, like when I take out my phone, I don't really want to be on my phone. And I think that's the reason why I wanted to do this experiment to begin with. So I've only read 10 pages on the subway, but I'm quite into it now. They were still trying to figure out the rules of the cafe. I am excited to see what comes next.
So I was at the restaurant reading for about an hour. It felt a lot longer than that. It's a little bit hard for me to sit down and read for more than an hour. That's not so much of a problem when I read in Chinese. It's really easy when I read in Chinese to finish a book in one sitting. I actually started reading in English as sort of an attention training. Earlier at the cafe, I was like intentionally not looking at my phone, which I think helped a lot with my attentional span. Over the past hour, I read 40 pages, which is quite fast for me. I'm very happy to discover that just the idea of staying off my phone helps me be more focused. I logged 15 minutes on my reading timer on the subway and read 9 pages. Good morning. I'm just eating a plain bagel because my cream cheese has gone bad. I was going to take out my phone to check emails this morning, but I didn't. Instead, I just sat there and read for 15 minutes. And I had an idea for what to film later on today, which I normally would have taken out my phone and written on the notes app. But instead, I wrote it down on a notebook. I haven't looked at my phone at all today, and that feels really good. I had actually already ordered a cold Americano, but I changed my order to a hot one because before the coffee gets cold, I take my job very seriously. So far, the first 2 stories have been about women going back in time to fix their relationship with men. And it's interesting, in a world where you can go back in time for anything, this is what this male author imagines women would do. This coffee gets cold very quickly though. Okay, I decided to leave because I can't do deep work here. There's too much distractions and people are smoking. Working from cafes is a beautiful idea, but it doesn't quite work for me realistically. So I've come to the gym with Dave to sit on the steps and read my book while eating my McFlurry. Dave is gonna take about an hour to run 10 kilometers at the gym, so let's see how far we can get through with this book. I stole Dave's hoodie because it's actually getting really chilly in Guangzhou. 40 minutes have passed on a reading timer, but I have only gone through 15 pages of the book, which was about half of my average speed yesterday. That is because I have been on my phone posting an Instagram story, posting a video. I know that if I have other things on my mind, I read so very slowly. Next time I think when I have something on my mind or like I know I'll be interrupted, I'll just not read during that time. I'm very particular about self-serves and I am impressed. Oh my god. No! I want to spend this afternoon learning to watercolor on Skillshare. By this point of the video, you would have already seen the Skillshare sponsorship. When I bought this watercolor set a couple of months ago, I was thinking, I'm gonna learn watercolor on Skillshare when I get the sponsorship. I still can't believe this is happening. This is so bad. It's 5:30 p.m. I haven't read a single page today yet. Yesterday I said I'd go home and read for 2 hours, but I ended up actually working until 2 a.m. and not even doing productive work. And I stopped my timer at 1 hour and 39 minutes, which means I read a total of about an hour yesterday and 20 pages. that's how it goes sometimes. I really admire the booktubers who can like read for 5 hours a day. I'm at page 126 right now, and I have under 100 pages until the end of the book. So I'm actually just going to finish this book here. It's probably not going to take the full 2 hours and 40 minutes. I'm excited to see how the story ends. I heard it's like a 4-book series now, so I actually don't know if it ends here, but we'll see. So I ended up finishing Before the Coffee Gets Cold in exactly 2 hours yesterday, in several sittings. My overall thoughts on a book, 3 out of 5. I think the stories are definitely more engaging than The Midnight Library, but it's definitely not a page turner. And I feel like I really like the revelation at the ending. Not gonna spoil it for you, but I do feel like the portrait of women in the book is a little bit problematic. One of the stories is about a woman feeling regret in their relationship with a man when it doesn't have to be seen in that light, or like a mother making huge sacrifices for her daughter but still feeling bad for not having sacrificed enough. I still had a lovely time reading it in the different cafes, but I probably won't buy any of the other books in this series. Let's chat about how the swapping screen time for reading challenge went. On day 1, I read 1.5 hours and 94 pages. On day 2, I read 40 minutes and 15 pages. And on day 3, I read 2 hours and 87 pages. I mean, it seems like a massive failure if you compare it with proper booktubers who like read 5 hours a day for a week, but I've actually learned a lot from it. For example, I actually read more on day 1 in less time compared to day 2. And most of that was because most of my reading on day 1 was done in smaller chunks of time, like when I was on the subway. And it's super interesting to learn that I actually read a lot faster when I don't set aside a huge chunk of time to read. And you don't have to either. On day 2, I read super slowly because I had a lot on my mind at that time and I needed to do things on my phone in the meantime. So going forward, I will get done what I need to do on the phone and then put it away when I read. The most interesting thing I learned for the past 3 days is actually I finished a 200-page book in 4 hours. That really surprised me because I've always thought of myself as a really slow reader, and so every single book would seem like an infinite task for me because there are just so many pages to flip through. But it's really nice to know that I can read a whole book in 4 hours. Never thought I'd be able to do that. Let's take a look at my screen time. I know my phone usage is probably on the low end among my peers. On day 1, I spent 1 hour and 16 minutes on the phone. Day 2, 1 hour and 35 minutes. But out of that, 37 minutes were from the camera app. And day 3, I kind of went crazy on that day. 3 hours and 55 minutes. And out of the 3 hours and 55 minutes, 1 hour and 26 minutes were from the Maps app when I was cycling. So I guess that brings my actual phone usage down to 2 hours and 29 minutes. And out of that, a whole hour was spent on Instagram. I would say I'd probably felt the worst on the 3rd day. It's like a vicious cycle. When I don't feel my best, I take out my phone more. But in turn, being on my phone more actually makes me less happy. For the past 3 days, I really liked for the first thing I do in the morning to not be checking my phone. So I challenge you to put your phone away in another room before going to bed and not take it out the next morning until you absolutely need to use it. If you don't have a lot of free time but want to read more, here are some tips for you. Tip number 1 is to always bring a book with you no matter where you go. And whenever you feel like you want to check your phone, take out the book instead. Tip number 2 is to actually track the amount of time it takes you to finish a book. You'll probably find that you read a lot faster than you thought too. A really good app to track your reading is Goodreads. I get a lot of my motivation for reading from updating my reading progress on Goodreads. My 3rd tip is if you want to get excited about reading, go on BookTube and check out Jack Edwards, Carrie Can Read, the book Leo, Haley Pham. There's just something about watching BookTube that makes me so excited to read. Jack Edwards has made me spend so much money on books. Carrie makes really aesthetic reading vlogs, or she takes you to different cafes in Seoul. This vlog is probably too long now, so I will leave it at that. Please give it a like if you find it helpful or enjoyable. It really helps me get discovered. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more book content from me. I'll see you next time. Bye!